Hey there, everyone. This is Dr. Joan with Becoming Canada. I've had a number of you join my feed just recently, and I thought I should make a video and at least introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Joan. I am a forgiveness therapist. I am a registered nurse. I'm also a doctor of philosophy, and I have this marvelous, profound interest in all of the things that keep us healthy. I practice a particular type of therapy that is forgiveness-based, and it grabs holistically from all of these wonderful areas. I use the meridian points to identify on our body the moments in time when we need to forgive. I use neuroscience, which actually talks about mirror neurons and the ways in which we actually mirror one another, both in terms of how we love and in terms of how we fear. I use spirituality, Christian spirituality, to actually provide people with wisdom as I move through the therapeutic process. And I also then, of course, use some psychology-based traditional types of cognitive behavioral messaging that I incorporate into my therapy. So what I have found in as little as one session, people who've been depressed out of a sense of stuckness actually recover. People who've been anxious and worried for years recover, usually in about 3 sessions. And that's because I actually help them to figure out what it is they're afraid of and help them to actually embrace a stance of love. I am an author. I just recently finished the final version of my book called 490, Forgive and Live Fearlessly. And in that book, 490 is really the number 70 times 7. And that's the number of times that Christ said that we should forgive. So in the book, I use my own personal journey to inspire people to actually make forgiveness a spiritual practice. In the same way that you would pray on a regular basis, or read your Bible on a regular basis, or engage in devotion, or engage in things like meditation, forgiveness is one of those things that we need to practice as soon as we feel that an encounter with somebody else has actually sucked our energy. So I teach people how to do that in the book, and I have a number of YouTube videos that I've created. The one that seemed to grab the most attention recently was the one on self-forgiveness. So if you go to YouTube and just search for Dr. Joan, self-forgiveness, I'm sure the video will come up. I also have it right now in my profile, and you can click on the link in my profile and find it there. But the thing I have been called to do, the thing I am destined to do, is actually to speak and to motivate, and I would say transform and inspire those who listen to me. So when I speak to folks, I tend to speak very quietly. I tend to have a lot of pauses. I tend to ask these, what people call profound questions, right? So I want to give you an example of that. One of the things that actually impacts and influences the way that we behave are some neurons, cells in the brain, that are called mirror neurons. You can look it up on the internet and find out a little bit more about that. But the thing about mirror neurons is this. When I complete a task, those mirror neurons fire. But when you do something, either the same task or something else, and I'm watching you do that task, my mirror neurons also fire. And so what scientists are suggesting is that as we watch other individuals, it's not that we're thinking about the ways in which they're doing something. We're actually, in our minds, simulating what it is that they're doing. So we actually step into their shoes, and from their particular perspective, we begin to engage in the same activity without moving. Isn't that fascinating? So the thing is that as we begin to actually simulate from other people's perspective on a daily basis, what we're taking into our system is a new imprint of how to behave. Now, if that behavior is loving and kind, if it is trusting and hopeful and faithful, if it is forgiving, if it is patient, if it is all of those wonderful things, beautiful. But if our encounters are, on the other hand, something totally different, where those encounters make us afraid, or those encounters are unkind, or somebody's yelling at us, or accusing us, or judging us, we do the exact same thing. We step into the other person's shoe, and from their perspective, we now direct the message at us. And so it creates a memory that actually we replay. Isn't that fascinating? So the question I always have is, if we're all connected, why don't we know it? If all there is love, why don't we know it? And the reason for that is because we're actually looking into a mirror where there's only fear right now. Whenever we're impatient, whenever we're unkind, whenever we distrust, whenever we yell, whenever we're malicious, those are all people that are experiencing fear. And they've mirrored somebody who's shown them that. So if we've got a world where everybody is mirroring fear, guess what? The love that is here never records. It never shows up. So a time has come, it is here now, as Jesus would say, where we need to begin to actually reflect love to one another so that we can create a mirror of one another in a loving, kind way. I've been called to speak into the hearts of men, women, children about the need to love and the need to transform into a space where we build each other up, where we bring peace into the world. So I just wanted to leave this message. Welcome and have a wonderful day.